Alrighty, let's see what happens with today's attempt. I want to be happy, but the lighting is just like making, I wonder if I have to wear makeup on my forehead to get rid of that. So, let us see what happens. Also, I know I don't have anything really exciting planned for today's topic, but at the same time, I'm hoping we will come up with something. In the meantime, just for fun, while this is doing its thing, let me load up YouTube on my browser and see if that affects our processing power. It says 2 people are watching. Ooh. So, my audio is off on that, so you won't get an echo. Wow, that is crazy. It is actually doing closed captioning during the live stream, and the words are matching. That is so impressive. All right, let me jump over here, because I want to see what it does. Our stream health is good, which is nice for a change of pace. And I see a couple thumbs up rolling in. I bet YouTube didn't send out any notifications today. So let's see. Nope. Nope. For some reason, I'm not getting any comments at all right now. Anyway, I'm kind of just trying to see how the software operates with the new iMac. So that is why today's topic isn't assigned. I had a topic I wanted to discuss, but at the same time I was thinking, kind of wanted to just see how it operates and kind of work out some of the kinks we may be running into. Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured no notifications because it's a secret. Don't tell anyone. You know, I watched a snippet of a video someone shared the other day about AMSR. I think that's right. And all they did was whisper and eat on their camera. And I thought, people watch this? Should I be whispering? All right, so I'm going to hide this screen somehow. Kind of wanted to see something, but I don't see it happening. I don't know where they're hiding it. Hi, Oscar. Hey, Eric. Thanks for moderating for us today. It sounds like your job's going to be super easy. There's 3 of us here. Okay, let me just... So I'm going to just go ahead and kill that window because I would just feel like that would affect our processor, even though technically it wasn't doing that at all. In the meantime, how does it sound? Is it too loud? Is it just right? I'm trying to get these kind of things worked out. This is set to about 50%. Thanks, Daniel. I appreciate that. I've got a HD camera that is set up to the right of my monitor. So when I'm looking here, it's to see what you're saying. But when I put the camera on top of the iMac, there's some weird thing that happens. So I tried it in front, closer to me. Now it's too close. So I thought, all right, we'll try it over there on a tripod. But it makes me feel a little bit disconnected from the conversation because I'm looking at the camera and the conversation's adjacent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you letting me know that the sound is coming through good. And I remember last week, the first 8 or 10 minutes was kind of too loud, and I adjusted it. We also got rid of that horrible popping sound. So I want to make sure that is still disabled. Yes, sound effects are turned off. Sound is good in Canada. I also figured this out. We're going to drop this on the screen. Look at that. It's not a ginormous icon with tiny words. I now have the correct size for the screen. See, I do my homework when I'm not on camera. I'm trying to make sure everything works well for you. So one of the things I wanted to talk about that didn't actually get organized, I didn't build the presentation for it for today, was everything you need to start a tank. Because I was thinking it would be really good if we just had like this punch list. You're gonna need all of these things. And I thought, okay, if you've been in the hobby a long time, you may not care about that list. But at the same time, maybe there's something on the list you're missing, or that you really should upgrade at this point. So I think that'd be a good topic, possibly for next week. So I'm going to throw it out there so you can kind of think about it. And if you have suggestions or requests, feel free to send those to me. One way or another, you can find me on social media. You can find me in Club Melevsreef. You can find me, contact us on my website, melevsreef.com. So the escape room was fun. I did it last night. That was my birthday present for my son. And he didn't lock me in a room. He joined me. And there was actually a large group. One of his good friends has the exact same birth date as I do. And so we did this big group of 9 people. And we got locked into 2 rooms. And then the race was who could get out of their room first. And we actually got out at the same time. So that part was a tie. But then the side challenge in the escape room was to find as many chips, like, poker chips, that we could find hidden in the room in different places, or unlock things to find them, and whoever had the most chips would win. And unfortunately, the other group had more chips than we did. We spent a lot of time trying to crack open the vault, which was a huge door with, the handles. And I just really wanted to get in there so badly, but we couldn't quite get that open. And we only decoded 2 of the 3 locks on there, and apparently if we'd got that open, we would have won, because inside there was 200 chips alone, and that would have pushed us right over the top. So that was a lot of fun. I'm hoping that this new expensive computer is going to be working really well for the time being. And I did a video earlier this week that you may have seen already by now, where I explained why I got it, and I did a fun little montage that's about maybe 10 or 13 seconds of me waiting by the front door. And that was really all I wanted to do in the video, was just that silliness. And then it ended up being just a dot in the full length of the video, because I can never do a video quickly. But it was funny sitting by the front door and coming up with different things I could do while I'm waiting for my iMac to show up. So I enjoyed doing that. Vibestyle asks, how old is my son? Let me think. I think he's 31 or 32. Somewhere around that. And he brought my grandson, whose name is Noah. And so he was here last night, and he was trying to grab everything in my house because he's, less than 2 years old. And so you have to constantly watch him. He's running around grabbing things. But I have a lot of stuffed animals here and toys. I let him play with some of the stuff back here and stuff up there. And I just kept throwing toys at him to keep him occupied. He's super cute. Dustin asks, I guess I'll just answer some questions today because I'm doing a bad job of the presentation. Will the DD Aquascape putty clog up Purigen if I use it in the tank before it dries? Well, the DD putty actually can go in your tank while it's still pliable, because people use it to scape their aquascape, to secure corals in the tank. And so, yeah, it's not going to be dry yet, and you can put that in there, and that's not going to affect anything in your tank. It's not going to, ruin Purigen or affect carbon or anything, because it doesn't blow freely through the water. It's staying in one spot. You may see a little bit of milky stuff from where the water and your finger is interacting briefly, but I don't think that's going to hurt your filtration products. The putty works really well. I only mix a small batch at a time, like I did in last week's stream. So, that way I have something to work within 10 minutes or so. If you make a big amount, if you just really get aggressive, 2 things can happen. You can end up with a big hard rock that's unusable and you have to throw it away, which is a waste. And number 2, if you use too much in your tank all at one time, it can make your skimmer go a little wonky. It could actually affect your livestock because there's just too many toxins in the water at one time. So I would just say putty down 2 or 3 things, and then the next day do it again, and then a couple days later do some more. Don't do it all in one session. And I know we get motivated. I'm going to do everything today. It's Saturday. But, use reason. Maybe do a few and then wait a few hours and do a few. If you can't, do it over a period of several days. But don't do it all at once. Let me get this off the screen. I kind of wish this would fade away automatically. That would be really cool. Dylan, it is 2:15 over here in Texas. So you're 8:15. I'm going to assume that is morning? Maybe it's nighttime. Okay, so I got something funny in the mail this week, and it had a message inside. It says, clean that sump already. So this is an attachment from VCA, the same guy that made the flow accelerators that are in my tank right now that I installed a few weeks ago. And this guy here, you connect it to a MaxiJet pump, and then you can vacuum your sump. So I saw a post about it in Club Melevsreef. Nope, Club Melevsreef. Don't know where to point. And I was like, oh, that thing is so neat. How have I not heard of this before? And so this would fit on a MaxiJet 1200. And then here is your vacuum nozzle. It's just like vacuuming your car or your truck, right? And the idea is that you'll suck the detritus in. Now, I already know if you have a lot of crud in your sump, like mine, it's going to clog up the impeller. You're going to have to take the pump apart, take out that stuff, and then put it back together and keep going. I'm totally expecting that. That's not a deal breaker for me. I want to just, use something to vacuum the bottom, which I think will be kind of cool. And this is something new that VCA came out with. So it's got their little name on the front. And yeah, I mean, it's got to be better than me ignoring my sump, right? So I'll let you guys know how that goes. I'll film it. We'll see how it clumps up. I mean, now think about it. So it's going to be on the intake side of the MaxiJet, and then the output, of course, you're going to run a tube to something. Now you could just do a tube to a bucket and just send the sludge right out. Or if you're trying to not waste water, so to speak, you could probably vacuum into a really fine filter sock so that the sock traps everything inside. I've done that in the past. That was kind of my method of cleaning out overflow boxes and the sump, is to run it to a sock and then take the sock outside and hit it with a garden hose. So that's kind of a new thing. I thought it was pretty neat. Stephen Liu, there is no topic today because I want to make sure that the iMac cooperated with the Livestream software. So this is as much, this will be a brief live stream. We won't be sitting here for an hour and a half like last week. Can't believe we talked that much last week. I was shocked. All right, nighttime in the UK. Let's hit me with some questions while I'm on here, and then I will go away. I've got to work today. It's been my birthday week, and so I have been doing birthday-related things all week, and it's been really hard for me to be productive. I mean, I've done work, but I've had better weeks. I know that for a fact. Wow. I get a message on my screen that says, high quality video has been deactivated because the internet connection is not fast enough. I'm like, right. We're on my 5G Wi-Fi. This should be plenty strong. And we're doing nothing. Let me see if there's anything else I can disable in the background. Though that will not affect internet speed, obviously. Don't turn that off. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I joke about being 39. I tell people I've been 39 forever. I learned this from my dad. My dad was 39 every year. I kept, how old are you, Dad? And he goes, 39. So now I say that. And the funny thing is my father is the one that tells me how old I am. Can you believe? I'm like, thanks. Why are you telling me? I don't even want to know it. I don't look at my license. So I joke about it, but this will be the 15th anniversary of my 39th birthday. For those of you that like math. I'm going to close this as well. And we'll close this one. So I've got a trip planned for Houston in 2 days. I'll be going down on Tuesday. I am getting a trailer to pull behind my vehicle. And there's a company down in Houston, near Houston, that sells it. And they don't deliver. Well, you can for a lot of money. Like $2.15 a mile they'll deliver. I said, okay, I'll just drive down there. So I'm going to drive down on Tuesday, and then Tuesday night I'm going to film a tank, a beautiful reef tank down in Houston, and then Wednesday I'll be back. So that is upcoming and exciting for me. Number one, getting a brand new trailer for my brand new truck sounds awesome. This has been a heck of a month. Oh my God, the money I've been burning through, it's ridiculous. And it's just, I'm replacing everything ancient. Everything old. Things, I don't know. I mean, computer was old, car was old, trailer was ancient, and got a tooth, a few months ago. I mean, there's been a lot of money going out the window. But at the same time, it's just what I did. I guess it's weird timing. Maybe it's just timing is perfect and all these things are coming into place. That's how my mother would look at it. I did also mention in that brief computer video about my heater failing on the frag system. And so I discussed it some, and I'm happy to discuss it more here. I mean, it's kind of nice if we can talk about these videos in the live stream as follow-up, especially if it spurred any questions in your mind. One person said, well, you should have had your Apex let you know. And I'm like, yes, I should have. I totally missed the mark on that one. I never put the code in the Apex to let me know if that tank gets too cold or if the pH is off or, I don't know, whatever else could go wrong in that tank. It should notify me. And for some reason, I never put that code in there. It was a big, big mistake. So, it took me 3 years to discover my mistake. And I found out that the heater had failed on December 26th because I went to the logs and looked. And you could see heater, and then it just dropped. The tank got really cold and bounced around for about 3 weeks, which is crazy. And now, I just checked my Apex today, and I put a picture on Instagram about an hour ago. And you can see the cold went up to hot, and it's been staying nice and warm ever since. So that's a good thing. And I guess I need to look at those graphs a little bit more frequently and just make sure all is well. Okay, here's a question. I seem to be going through my DI resin a lot quicker than I used to. Nothing has changed in my changing routine of the other canisters. Is there something to do with the RO membrane? What you want to know is what is the TDS coming out of your membrane before the DI stage. And if that number is high, then it will be using up your DI resin. Now, the membranes can be good from 1 to 5 years. I mean, that's a huge window, I know, because it used to be 3 to 5 years. And my manufacturer said actually it has changed to 1 because water quality varies so greatly from place to place, from county to county across the U.S. So if your membrane is going out, you should have a really high TDS coming out of the membrane, which of course in turn would wear out your DI resin. You also want to avoid TDS creep, and I have a video about that on this channel that you can watch. And if you aren't applying that rule of dumping the first 90 seconds of your water, every time you turn on the system, the first 2 minutes you're dumping a ton of TDS into your resin, wasting it. The filters underneath the membrane, the main unit, the sediment carbon-carbon, have zero bearing on the DI. So everyone always tries to assume they're all together. No, those 3 filters protect the membrane. That is their job and their job alone. The DI has its own job. So you want to find out what's going on. What is the TDS coming out of your RO? Mike says, when life happens, it tends to be expensive. All right, what else you want to know? Ask me questions. Oh, here's one I missed. What are your thoughts about sugar dosing? Just started it and seems to work well. I have a fish-only tank with a couple of corals and they seem to be okay with it. I love sugar. I have not used sugar dosing as a choice for carbon dosing. I did vodka. And I've mentioned that I'm planning to use NoPox very soon. And a couple of people replied in my videos recently telling me what they believe the ingredients are of NoPox, which basically means you can make your own and not spend the money on the Red Sea product. Now, I'm going to use the Red Sea product because I want to see how well it works. And that way I can give it hopefully a good review and say, yes, it worked well. And if I end up needing it long term, and if it is crazy expensive because I need gallons of it, I might try to make my own. But I kind of like to just buy things that are right off the shelf, ready for the aquarium industry, that just does the job. I mean, there's very few things that I make my own. Alkalinity, I make my own. I mean, I can't help it. It's 99 cents. Why would I not make my own? But pretty much everything else, I just use what is sold to the aquarium industry because I know I can trust it. Dylan asked if I'd sent off my water to be tested yet. No, but I did. No, I thought it was next to me here. It's not. I did have a Trident water test somewhere. I saw it recently, and I said, oh, I can use that. I really want the ICP one, because everyone talks about ICP. And I know it's kind of the same thing, but ICP is its own type, and then Trident's its own type. And actually, I'd like to do both, and now I can compare them both. Is there a way to hook up the TDS meter to an Apex? I have never heard of anyone doing that. Kind of like that idea. It'd be a great way to track over time, because that's one of the things I've asked people to do. I said, I would love it if quarterly we would nationally, or even internationally, would post what our source water TDS is, like January 1st and April 1st, well, maybe not April 1st, April 2nd, and, you know, or something, to where we could see what water's like in the winter, what it's like in the spring, what's in the summer, when it's in the fall. We can kind of see if our numbers vary greatly, or if they tend to be the same year round. I just think that would be really interesting. But if it was being measured by the Apex, then we would have data we could reference. We could just go back and look at the graphs, and that would be really neat. Now, you can put notes in your Apex to remind you if you're needing a way, or you can use Reef Trace, the app I recommend, and save stuff that way. But if you... I don't know of anyone that's made a TDS meter that plugs right into the Apex. That would be neat. I wonder if we could do that someday. Let's see. I want to see if I can make something happen here. Show you guys something. Do this. Okay, and I wonder what happens if I click this. Okay, you got my background. That didn't really help you. What is this? Nope. Oh, hang on. I think I know what it is. Go back to this. Oh, my master idea. I don't think it's going to work. I was thinking maybe I could demonstrate something. So Reef Trace came out with a... I should just do a video one day about this thing, because I've not been doing that. Reef Trace came out with a new version of their software. It's been updated again. It won't focus. It won't focus. And what they've done is they've added the notes section. This is just, it's too bright. It won't focus. Why want to do that? There we go. Okay, so notes now has a bunch of icons along the top, and you can add pictures to your items you're putting notes about. You can set reminders. This right here moves, so you can pick the different topics you want. You can hit the plus sign. I'm doing it all in reverse. Let's see. Okay, you do the plus sign, then here are all your choices. Here on the edge, come on. Oh, it's still looking at me. There we go. There we go. I can't show you this. It's just not going to work on a live stream, apparently. I'll have to do a film. Maybe I can do a screen grab and actually film just using the entire app from top to bottom. But I love the way it's been enhanced. I wish it was like this when it came out a year and a half ago. But it is really nice now with these choices of cleaning. These are the categories when you're making a note. You cleaned something, you dosed something, you fed something, you installed something, you're setting parameters, you replaced something, or you replenished something. And then there's even other. And then when you're putting in your items, of course, you can put in what it was. You can put in a few words of what you did, or, you know, like, for example, you replaced a bulb. Well, why did you do it? The bulb was too yellow. You know, you have a little note to remind you it turned yellow. And then you can set the date and, of course, save it. And then later on, you can do a search, and you can search for exact keywords to find any notes about that item. Like, let's say you want to look up phosphate RX, and how many times did you dose it over the last whatever. You could just type in RX. Well, yeah, I think you can do RX, or you can do phosphate. And that way, it'll just find all the entries, and you can see them all in a list. And you can review them, you can edit them, you can make corrections. So that is the latest thing in there. All the updates that have been rolling out lately have been specifically for iOS. So it is very iOS friendly right now. It's where all the effort is going into right now, rather than the Android side. Utes is asking about, is there any tips of what not to do? We could probably fill your ear for an hour and a half of things not to do. That's kind of a vague question. We can start off with something very basic like don't use tap water. I would not recommend that. And you want to have test kits, and you want to have thermometers, you want to have a hydrometer of some type, I like refractometer to measure salinity. You are going to want to cycle your tank, and you are not going to run the lights. I'm trying to think of all the nots. You are going to not ignore your tank. You are going to not overfeed your tank. There's a lot. There's some articles on my website specifically for the newbies, which is ideal for you. So feel free to check that out. And it will definitely benefit you. You can also get into Club Melevsreef, and we have a good group of about 3,500 people that are there to help each other. And we'll be happy to answer your questions, so feel free to join that group. That's my group. And yeah, those are some of the knots. And next week, I'm gonna be talking about all the things you need to start a new tank. So if you're trying to get in the hobby, I'm gonna do an entire bullet point list of the things you need. And so if you can wait another week, you'll get a lot of answers answered. Does the moonlight have any effect on corals? I'm using the Radion Lunar Phase. Somewhat. You may get a spawning event from your lunar phase. It's possible, but it's not guaranteed. And it's enjoyable to see your tank glowing under the full moon or the half moon, or the tank being really dim because it's a new moon. But it's not really going to make a huge difference. The importance is that at some point, all your lights need to be off on your tank so that your corals can rest. And there are people that have moonlights and they just leave them running all night long, and that's not the way you're supposed to run a tank. I'm saying that categorically, and usually I don't like to use absolutes, but just let your tank rest. When you go to bed, do you leave a light on, shining in your eyes all night? No. You close your eyes, you make the room dark, and you go to sleep. Let your fish and let your corals rest at night. Something that I'm planning to do. Hello, Rogue Aquarium. Something I'm planning to do this week that shouldn't take too long. I use the ATK, which is my top-off system for my sump, but I feel like it's backwards. And I want all the sensors facing the opposite direction, and I want to move it to a different wall in my sump. So I'm going to dissect it. If you have used this and you've reversed everything, I just wanted to, let me know in the comments if you ran into any problems, because I was looking at it and it looks like you could make everything go the opposite direction, but I haven't physically taken it apart yet. And I just wanted to get some feedback from you guys, if you ran into any kind of surprises or if you found something that you absolutely can't turn around. I'm just trying, I'd like to try something where I can see the floats and the sensors from the side of the sump instead of where they are right now, because they're kind of in a spot where everything's backwards, and I have to stick my head in the sump to see if things are right. That seems kind of dumb. Chris asks, how high should phosphates get before you try to lower them? And I prefer to get them, I usually deal with phosphates when it's 0.5 to 0.75 ppm. So if the phosphates are lower, I'm like, I don't even care. And when it finally gets to 0.5 or 0.75, that's when I usually dose my tank with Phosphate RX to bring it back down again. And I'll dose that night when the lights are out and the fish are asleep. So it is, that's my method. I'm not trying to maintain absolute zero. I'm also not trying to maintain the exact same amount of phosphate around the clock. I'd prefer to kind of just like let things naturally ebb and flow. And so, yeah, basically it's getting higher and higher and higher, and then I knock it down. And then it goes higher, 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 and I knock it down. And I seem to be dosing, I don't know. I've always said 5 times a year, but I feel like I've been dosing a little bit more. Now, Tammy's video is loaded into iMovie, and I'm going to be working on that here to get that to YouTube. I've already released a short 3-minute version on Facebook that maybe some of you saw, but the full length is coming. And one of the things that she does is she uses Phosphate RX every single week. And she just puts in a fixed amount. I think it's 100 drops. I have a bunch of notes over here. And so I hope I get all my facts right. But I think she puts in a preventative 100 drops every single week and just keeps the phosphates down. And that's not how I've used it. I use it to bring it down, where she's basically keeping it down. Hi, Mike. Last name Lemming. Are you a follower? Get it? Get it? It's funny. Oh, cool. All right, James already told me I can turn the ATK around. That's great. Yeah, see, it's a magnetic bracket that has 2 sensors on it and a float valve. And I just want to like take it all apart, clean it, turn it around, and stick it here where I can see it from this seat. Because this is where I sit and work when I'm not gluing things. And I can see the end of the sump right there, where right now I can't see that sensor at all. Okay, question was asked, have you ever used PVC primer to make your rocks purple? No, I have not. I don't know of anyone that's done that. I'm curious now. Now you make me want to Google that. But I can tell you this, if you spill PVC primer on your sump, you will craze the acrylic and instantly regret that accident. So don't do that. But I do not know if that would be a toxicity issue in your tank, because rock is porous and so water's flowing through it all the time forever. And I don't know how that works out. When we use primer and solvent on PVC pipe, obviously there's a point where it is toxic. Don't drink this. And then, when it's cured, it's safe to use. But I don't know anyone that's dipped it or poured it on the rocks. Kind of don't really like that idea. I think it's chemical. I don't even know what it's made of, actually. I mean, I've never thought about it. Is it just a bunch of purple acetone? I don't know what it is, but anything that was on the rock would be killed by it. And then I don't know what type of long-term issues you may run into on with your livestock. So I'm not going to recommend that one. Matter of fact, purple rock will happen naturally. If you guys saw my frag system recently, even on the pegging video, I pulled a rock out of my tank and it was all purple. And that's just alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium, and some lights. I mean, it's completely natural. The thing is, you got to wait for it to happen. It takes a while, and people get frustrated. They want to hurry it along. But it will happen if you get your water in that perfect, let's just call it a circle. If you can get that perfect circle with all your parameters right in the dead center, coralline is going to happen. Now, it doesn't come from nothing. It needs something. It needs a spark to start it, just like a fire. So you're going to need a few crumbs of it, and you can get coralline on a frag plug. You can get it on rock. You can get it from a friend. Usually it will appear on PVC pipe or on overflow boxes, and you can scrape it, and when you scrape it off of those things, it will send the shavings into your reef and seed the reef, and you could end up with coralline everywhere. So just give it some time. Henry asks, after being in the hobby for 15, he was in a hobby, and then he took a break, and growing his refugium, he wants to know about the best, well, I'll just read the sentence, good God. First time using a refugium, any tips on keeping the Chaetomorpha growing and do the best for the tank? Your nitrates are 2, your phosphates are 0, I think, and everything else is good. Well, I'll tell you this. When it comes to Chaetomorpha, one of the things I've always heard forever is that it should tumble in the refugium, like a big tumbleweed. And it's kind of ironic because it is a weed and it's tumbling. And so that is what they recommend. In my situation, I've never had it tumble. I just had it in the refugium and I let it grow. I can tell you this, don't run the lights 24 hours a day because it has, it's a green plant filled with chlorophyll. And photosynthesis is what makes the green process the light into sugar, and the sugar promotes growth and the plant grows. So Chaetomorpha, I would say under some daylight, which I prefer white lighting. I know people out there they like the pink spectrum, which I think looks horrible. But pink or white, whatever. Pick a time period, like maybe 8 or 9 hours a day, and let that light the Chaetomorpha. You may need to turn it over so that the bottom side is getting lit, even though I didn't have that experience. In my case, when I lifted it and looked at the underside, it was just as green on both sides. But you may discover you need to turn it. If your top surface turns bone white and seems kind of like it's falling apart and basically it's dying, I would trim all that away with scissors and maybe reduce the lighting, because odds are your lights have been on too much or they're too close. You move them up a little bit away. Also, that light should never be in the refugium or in the sump, basically, because when the water fills up, it could hit the light and create an electrical issue. So make sure it's suspended high enough up that it cannot get wet or even covered in salt creep. And that's pretty much it. When you want to trim it, you want to take out about 25%, maybe once a month, and then slightly tug it apart, like pull it apart a little bit to increase water flow through it. And those are kind of all my tips with Chaetomorpha. Now, all that being said, I am not. I don't have a great success story with growing Chaetomorpha. I'm do much better with Feather Caulerpa, and that's why I've been growing that in all my refugiums for 15 years. And I've tried Chaetomorpha on occasion. I tried it again about 2 years ago, and it actually was doing pretty well. But then it ended up dying back along with all my Feather Caulerpa because I had put something else in my tank, and that thing affected all the plants. So that didn't work for me. Your tank is young. Don't expect any miracles. You know, you said it's 4 months old. So it's going to take some time. Producer Reef, I'm ignoring you because I don't have any answers. It's something that comes up every week, and every week I tell people I don't have the cure for dinoflagellates. I can only tell you that they're super frustrating. Some of the basics are to keep your pH at 8.5 as long as possible. Don't let it dip down. Kill your lights. Don't add water. Don't do water changes. All those things affect dinos and let them grow even more and more rampant. Dino X by Fauna Marin may remove it, and that is a product that you dose, and then you have to leave your skimmer off for 3 weeks. I don't even know if you have to dose it every day. You probably do, but it's like a 3-week thing to kill the dinos. I do know 3% peroxide has been used. I just don't have a cure. I wish I could just hand you guys, you know, buy this and it will always solve your problem. I wish I could just do that, because then I would just tell you, just like Phosphate RX. We need Dino RX. That's what we need, but it doesn't exist. So that is why I don't really have recommendations for you on that one. Hi, Casey. Let's see. Brian, all I can tell you is that it's 2 o'clock Central Time every Saturday, unless I tell you guys in advance I'm not going to make it. But whether the notifications come up or not, I can't control that. That is completely a YouTube thing. And then Cedric asked me if this is the new Mac. Yes, we are on the iMac. Let me show you something. This is going to blow you away. So this is the built-in camera of the 2019 iMac. Look how blurry that is. That is just awful. So that's why I'm using a HD camera. And I'm going to have to get a second HD camera, obviously. Matter of fact, someone wrote me a while back and said, I've got one of those in a box. You can have it. I will give it to you. Well, if you're watching, give it to me. I need it. Otherwise, I got to buy one. But, I mean, somebody offered it to me, so I'd love to get it because I'll use it. But, yeah, the one built in, I Googled it, and it turns out it's a known problem. I'm thinking, man, brand new machine, horrible FaceTime camera. Are you kidding me? It's really bad. So, I mean, you know, it's good enough if you want to say hi to your family, but it ain't good enough for this. So we're using HD camera. Let's see. Yes, Cedric. My schedule is actually on my website, where you can just get it right off the Radeon. And it's I believe it's on the Radeon page where you can just download that file. Matter of fact, I think I have a new version that I'm trying to get on the website. I need to talk to my developer and find out what I have to do to get that uploaded, because my site's a little bit different now. Casey asks, are you ready for Aqua Shella? Which is a great topic for me to bring up, because Dwayne and I are going to be doing a presentation both at ReefWorks in Seattle and then Aqua Shella here in Dallas in February and March. So guys, this is going to be a great presentation. It's going to be about aquascaping, and we're going to put our combined experience together. You know, he's been in the hobby, I think he said, since '88. I've been in the hobby since '98. So that's like 2,000 years of experience you have to look forward to. And we're going to go into aquascaping and what not to do, and what tricks we've used. And you know, Dwayne loves to rip his tank down to the rock every couple of years and reset everything. So we're going to gather up a bunch of really good pictures and do a dual presentation, you know, like a tag team topic. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So that's going to be at ReefWorks in Seattle. And ReefWorks is ReefWorks, ReefWorks. And then Aqua Shella is in Dallas, and we're doing that presentation at both shows. So come to Seattle, come to Dallas, and come check it out. Greg just suggested for dinos to use a UV light. So I'm going to throw that on the screen here in case that helps someone. Obviously, anything free floating going through the water could be killed by UV light, so why not? And then American Reefing asks if I'm coming to RAP New York. I have never been to RAP New York. I've been to RAP Florida. I've been to RAP California several times, but I've never done the New York trip. I kind of would like to do that. So I don't know. Let me see if I can make that happen this year. That would be fun. See all you New Yorkers, which is kind of cool because I'm from New York. And yeah, Mike, thank you for rubbing it in. That's awesome. Good job. Not everything can be perfect. Actually, when I Googled it, there was a lot of people upset because of this bad camera. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't know if it's, I mean, someone made this comment. Maybe it's a software issue and they can fix something in an upgrade, but I'm thinking it's hardware. And it turns out that the FaceTime camera in the MacBook Air, which is a very new device, everyone's complaining about it. And they were comparing it to the older MacBook Air that had a better camera. So that's why so many people are upset. And then for me to get this iMac and have a bad camera, I'm just like, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh, well, known issue, but I don't know how they're going to fix it. If it's software, that'd be fantastic because just a patch will roll out. But I don't know. I was really disappointed. I'm not going to disagree with you there. But yeah, thanks for bringing it up. And Mad River Reefs, I need to ban you from my group. Dustin asks, what do you think this hobby will be like in 20 years from now? Do you think it'll be really easy for everyone? Actually, 20 years from now, we may be struggling to get certain livestock because things go extinct or are getting risk of extinction and they protect it, and then you can no longer acquire it. I think there will always be some people with corals, and I don't know that there's going to be this massive black market like Fifth Element. But I do feel like there will be a lot of trading going on between hobbyists like we do now, maybe even more so. I wonder about the existence of fish stores 20 years from now because of online purchases. It is something that's a valid concern because if everyone chooses to buy things online instead of walking into stores and walking into malls and so forth, the economy shifts to an online presence that can really wipe out a lot of small businesses. And fish stores rely on you guys to walk in there and spend your money. Matter of fact, I called my fish store 2 days ago, and I'm walking distance away, but I call him. We're talking on the phone, and I said, "Hey, I need to get this," and he says, "I'll have all that in stock when you show up." So I just kind of like to give him a heads up. That way, he can just get it, because he gets his stuff from the wholesaler in Arlington, and then I just buy it off the shelf. And it's a great symbiotic relationship. Okay, Mad Rivers, I'm going to attack you now. I could have got a PC for $1,600 and then lived with Windows, which I hate. I'm telling you, I cannot stand Windows. I did a PC forever. And I know PC, personal computer. I ran Windows. I did Windows 95, I did Windows 98, I did Windows XP, and I did the stuff before that too. And then I did 8.1, I did 8.2, and I was hating it. I mean, it was awful. And then finally Windows 10 came out, and they swore it'd be better than 8.2. I brought my computer to my friend, and I said, can you go ahead and install that for me just to make my life simpler? Because he's like, oh yeah, I do that all the time, no big deal. And Windows 10 murdered my tower, and my tower was 1 year old. It was just a cheap one I got at Walmart, but he did the install, and then he says, it's ready, come pick it up, and I showed up first thing the next morning, and I said, well, can you turn it on and kind of like just show me the environment because you're familiar with it, and I'm not familiar with 10, and it would not boot. It wouldn't get past the BIOS. It literally went beep, 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 and then shut off, and then beep, beep. I mean, it murdered something on the motherboard, and that was the end, and I never looked back. And I just have no desire to go back to Windows, go back to running virus scans, worrying about all the crap associated with Windows. I just, I see my posts from my friends on Facebook. I was in the middle of such and such, and Windows decided to update my software and just completely shut down my computer in the middle of a task. I can't believe it. That doesn't happen with Apple. Apple does not just suddenly take over your computer and do an update, whether you like it or not. And I love Apple, and I am not going to go back to Windows, and I will go back kicking and screaming. So yeah, if it costs me more, it costs me more. But yeah, no, I'm very happy with my Apple environment. I don't like to spend money like that. But at the same time, what I bought, it's not like a 2-year computer. I'm planning to have this one for 4 or 5 years. And then again, in 4 or 5 years, I'm really going to complain about what it costs to get another one. I'm not an idiot. I know this is going to happen all over again. I mean, you know, people, okay, iPhone, right? I love my iPhone. Everyone's like, oh my God, that thing costs $1,600. I will never spend that money. F Apple, no way. And I'm like, you know what? It's not $1,600. I'm on the Apple plan. I get a new phone every year. I pay a monthly payment of like 50, 60 bucks a month. That's it. And so if you take that times a year, that's like 600 or 800 or whatever the number comes out to. That's not 1,600. The other half, you turn in your phone, you get your new phone, it's like prorated. So yeah, I'm paying like 50, 60 bucks a month for a new phone. I remember 10 years ago, or I don't know, 8 years ago, I can't remember exactly. We used to get a phone for free if you just signed up with AT&T for 2 years. I really missed that. That was awesome. Now we're paying a monthly payment for a phone, and we're paying a monthly payment for the actual, you know, service and data plan. We spend a lot of money on electronics these days. There's no doubt. All right. Hey, thank you, Dylan. Thank you for saying Windows 10 is the devil. I like you. Super like. All right. Oh, I don't care. I don't care if beeping meant anything. It murdered it, and we couldn't bring it to life, and I just threw it in the trash can and walked away. So that was it. The claw came and took my trash. Never looked back. Oh, my God. Yeah, I know. We shouldn't talk about religion. Mike's saying, don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, and don't get into Apple versus PC stuff. So funny. Just so you know, Antonio, we were talking about this before we started talking about Apple versus Windows. So, yeah. Why do you come late? I'm at 2 o'clock every Saturday. Well, I'm usually 2:06 every Saturday. What is the best home reef tank you have ever seen, Dean asks. Thank you for getting us back on topic. Thank you, Dean. You have saved us. The best reef tank I have seen, I'm going to say Jimmy's 600-gallon reef was drop dead gorgeous and filled with SPS corals. So in that regard, that one really blew me away. And I did a video about it a few months ago. It's here on this channel. So if you please watch it. And that's private in a home. Now, Joe's 20,000-gallon reef on Long Island, that's gorgeous, but that's a business. So you can't compare that one. Tammy's tank, everyone's like, where's the Tammy video? I had someone get really mad at me on Instagram last night, and he's like, you're celebrating your birthday, we're still waiting for Tammy's video, you're a jerk. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I released a 3-minute clip of Tammy's reef on Facebook about 2 weeks ago, and everyone loves it. And the full-length version with a lot more details is going to hit here on YouTube. And like I said earlier in the stream, it's loaded in iMovie. I got to add some more content to it, and I got to do some more voiceover, and then I'm uploading it. So that is coming very shortly. Maybe, I don't think it will not happen this week. I think it's going to come out this week. So, you know, I'm sorry you guys had to wait. I get your excitement and your frustration when I tell you I'm going to do something. I have people tease me about, oh, where's the calcium reactor video? Where's the Tammy video? And I shouldn't make promises, right? So they're coming. And when they come, and then hopefully you'll be happy. And it's sort of like, you know what? I am the Trident of YouTube. Let's talk about Trident. Let's get all upset about Trident. Someone actually brought up the Trident device from Apex, or from Neptune Systems in Club Melevsreef. And I was reading the comments, and you know, as usual, there's people like, oh, they promised it then, it never happened, and that company sucks, and or whatever, you know, I'm paraphrasing. And I'm like, you know what? Quit getting upset. When it's ready, it's ready. There's no point pushing it out sooner. And if they did and it didn't work right, you'd be complaining about that. So instead, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. I'm telling you, I think I've read 6 or 8 different posts from people on Facebook showing their new Trident because it went out to the NSI group. And those people get to try it out and make sure it's working well on their home tanks. And if everything comes back fine, then and no more tweaks, no more firmware updates, no more whatever, then this will hit the market. And I tell people that are like, oh, I should have had it by now, and Alcatronic is better, and whatever. It's like, you know what? Instead of complaining you don't have something that doesn't exist yet, go do your water tests like we've been doing for the last 40 years. Just go test your water and calm down. That's the bottom line. I can tell you some factoids if you're not familiar with Trident. It will measure alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium all in the same device. Apparently, it takes about 25 minutes to do these tests. It does it completely autonomously, so you can just look at your fusion and see the data. It will track it in a graph and show you how it's doing over time. I believe it tests alkalinity 4 times per day and calcium and magnesium twice a day. The solution or the reagent is a 2-month supply, but Neptune is already looking at letting you buy gallon versions to save you money and last longer. The price point is it's less than $600, so I joke it's $599.99, but who knows? Maybe it's gonna be something like $585. I have no idea. It's less than $600. It only works for the new Apex, so if you have the Apex 2016 or the Apex EL, it works for that. If you were to get the Apex Brain, the new one, as far as I know, it'll work with that. I'm not positive about that part, but I feel like I have that correct. And it doesn't use dosing pumps. It uses a single pump to do everything inside. So that proprietary mechanism that Jim Welsh invented a couple of years ago, and I showed that video a couple of years ago on this channel, that is coming to market. It's happening. It's exciting. We're very close. We're just not there yet. So just keep your pants on and go test your water with your test kits, and then eventually you'll have this machine, and it's going to do it for you around the clock. And then the idea is that the machine will give the information to your Apex, and then in theory, you could have your Apex then do things based on that information, like, ooh, alkalinity is a little bit low. Tell dose to add more alkalinity. And then alkalinity is high. Stop adding alkalinity. I mean, that's the premise, right? Until I see it in real life, I don't know. But that sounds exactly like we'd like it to be. Alrighty. Yeah, Jasper said, you'd think people who are in this hobby would be more patient. I don't know what the rush is. I mean, God. Matter of fact, I've had a couple of people send me text, did you get one, Mark? I'm like, no. They're like, oh, I'll get it when it's done. It's okay. It's all right. Thank you. Antonio says, and he spelled it wrong, that it will work if you just buy the brain. So that's cool. And then Blue Carbon Reefing just chimed in and is asking how the live stream is working. And so far, I think it's going well. Right now, it shows 118 people are watching the stream. And I'm hoping we are still in high def. It seems like we are. And no one's complained about audio, and the lighting seems decent. I wish that it would be, I don't know. If I kind of do this, see my skin gets the right color. I feel like there's too much light. It's like, ugh. But I tried everything. I've got 3 lights over me right now. And I cannot seem to fill the room and make myself look human. I just look washed out. So... Davis, you just got here. Let's see. And that's the end of our live stream, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Actually, it is. It has been an hour, and I'm wrapping this up. So thank you so much for watching this live stream and testing out the software with me today. Next week's topic is going to be about what do you need to start a saltwater tank. It's going to be a punch list of here are the things you need to get. And like I said earlier, if you are already in the hobby, check the list and see what you're missing and buy it. If you... are brand new and thinking about getting into this hobby, then that list should definitely give you a list of things to consider so you'll know what you're doing. And this week, another video will be rolling out. Something is coming out today on Facebook as well, because there's always a Saturday video on Facebook, usually toward the evening. So you can look for that brief, like 3 to 8 minute video that'll roll out. I have to come up with a topic that I want to discuss. And that is it. It's Water Test Saturday. Test your water today. Also clean your skimmers today. Clean the neck. I want that clean so that way none of the sludge that you've been amassing all week will go back in your system because you neglected it. So be sure you do that. Any kind of results that you know, from your water testing, I want to see them. So post them in Club Melevsreef, and be sure that you give us your data so that we can celebrate with you, or we can give you suggestions on how to improve your water quality. Because that's why we're here. We're holding each other accountable, and we're doing it nicely. This group is not a group for attacks. We actually don't allow it, and people are banned forever on the first offense. It's a real great system. So I love that we have a nice, friendly group, and we are going to continue to keep it that way. And if we cannot, then we just will close the group, and there'll be a big red X going through that up there. It won't exist anymore. But for now, it's gone really well. The club's been around for about 5 months, and people are posting pictures and videos and asking questions and sharing their new purchases and their excitement with their new equipment. And you're welcome to join. I am the one that approves all of the people that request. So there are 3 questions you have to answer. Do you have a tank? What's your favorite fish? Which seems to be a really hard question. And how did you learn about this group? So feel free to answer those questions, because I actually read them. I also look at the other groups you're a member of already. I also look at your likes. I'm very invasive. And you guys are fascinating. All right, I'm going to end on that. You guys have a great weekend, and bye.